Welcome to the third round of the Rapid Tournament. In this round we are facing very talented young Prodigy from Russia who already got Grandmaster Normal. Second round wasn't recorded because player requested to turn off cameras, and we have to respect that. I opened the game with a move e4, he opened with c5, knight f3, we are in Sicilian defense. Here I didn't play open Sicilian, instead I opt for knight c3. He responded with knight f6 and then bishop b5, that's the point of my variation. Now there is three ways how black can block this check, with knight, with bishop and with a knight again on d7. The most popular one and the most logical one is to do it with bishop, but that's also the most theoretical one. Knight d7 is another version, but it's less good, and he picked that one, knight b7. So here is very important to strike directly in the center. And we are getting very pleasant version of open Sicilian, where black already earlier committed the move knight b7 here. So he can get out easily with his bishop. He took, I took with my queen, and after a6, the point is to take this knight, and after he takes back with bishop, we know that in future we won't be bothered from the knight on c6. That's beautiful. Bishop g5, very strong move. We are threatening to ruin their structures, and we are going castles next, followed by rook e1, and all our pieces are already in the middle and pressing the center. That's beautiful. I didn't mention that we are 2 out of 2, so this is third round. We are playing in the top boards. Black is having hard time deciding what setup to pick. If he goes g6, then this simply loses the game after bishop takes, pawn takes, and this structure is just terrible. We're gonna castle. He can't go bishop g7 because pawn is falling. If he goes bishop to e7, then we can reroute the knights and start pressuring these pawns. Also, we can go h4, h5. He will have definitely a lot of trouble on the king side. So playing g6 is not possible. e6 is definitely a logical move here. That's something I was expecting. h6 is a bit waste of time because we're gonna then just capture. We are losing bishop pair, that's correct. But we are getting a lot of time and pressure on the black king in the middle after castles and putting the rooks on the any line. He played bishop c6. That's also understandable move. He wants to simply later maybe go for something like d5 and e5, trying to break the center. Now the best move according to engine is to castle or to take the knight on f6. That's something white should play. And also looks very logical. White should not go for early e5 because that will just help black developing. If I go e5, he'll just take, and after queen takes e5, he can just go with h6 here or rook c8, and there is no more problems for black here after e6 and bishop e7. Black is totally fine, even better. I played castles, and I'm one move away to bring all my forces in the middle and directly strike black's king. For example, now e6 is not good move, because since we castled, we have this beautiful move e5. And after pawn takes, we have queen takes. Suddenly they have problem about this knight here. So if they go queen e7, now knight e4, and black is already in a big trouble. We are also threatening to ruin their pawn structure, bring the other rook to the game. He can't castle because bishop is blocked, queen can't get out. g6 is never possible, h6 is just waste of time. Knight e7 could be possible here, but then we can just move the queen back somewhere, you know, and still pressuring the queen on e7. So after castles, he played the best move, but this move also looks a little bit passive. Knight e7, bringing the knight back. He just wants to keep the structure like this. On the other side, he wastes the time. Instead of looking how to get king in safety, he's playing again with a developed knight. But this is artificial move. Also, for strong players, is a logical one. They understood the structure that they don't need to panic here and make some quick pawn moves such as h6 or e6. So he saves the knight. That's actually clever defense. And now I should break with e5 directly, but instead I went rook to e1, which is a logical move, absolutely. The point is now we're gonna break with e5 in the next one, but it's a question, are we in time? Because they can play something like e5. The point of e5 really works. If I take the queen here, they'll take my queen, and then Black is winning because he's simply targeting two pieces at the same time. He decided firstly to go h6, and now bringing the bishop to e3 would be better option than going on h4. On h4 also looks interesting because you're maintaining the pressure on this diagonal. But the problem is after bishop h4, then there is still the move e5. So bishop e3 is actually more static move. Just controlling now b6, and later on even knight cannot easily come there. They have problems then. Also, we want to go something like knight e5 and e5 breaks, of course. I decided to go bishop h4. And in this position, g5 is never possible since the rook on h8 is hanging. But e5 is possible, and it's a very clever move. Again, you can't take because you're taking with more valuable piece. And on the end of the day, you're going to have two pieces hanging. In that term, you're going to lose the game. You're going to lose the piece, material. So now moving the queen is really important somewhere, and maintaining the pressure on the queen on d8. After spending some time here, I decided to bring my queen to e3 because I felt comfortable to pressure this line. And maybe in future some knight takes e5 could appear, especially if they go back knight f6. That will be a terrible mistake. Then knight f6 is the point of my queen on e3, and they're already in a big problem. But of course, Black will not put a knight here, not because just of this tactic, it also because it makes another pin again. So he will move the queen somewhere, maybe b6, maybe c7. Or if he goes g5, then he creates the weaknesses. He decided firstly to go queen c7, and about g5 he'll think later. Now here white should find some plan. I can go prophylaxis for my king. I can also start rerouting my knight. But I decided to play a very untypical move, which is not correct, and also change the pawn structure. To be honest, I like this move because it reminds me on potential structures in the Kalashnikov variation, but we are on the white side after pawn takes, because then the E line gets open, and it seems like to me we got very nice activity for that. Especially some sort of sacrifices. I remembered some of my earlier games when I starting with Kalashnikov, how much I lost games when online, of course, when they took the pawn on e5 and create some sacrifices. Also, there is some maneuver with the knight towards the f5, or generally just to have it on d4 is perfect square. I don't like that one. Later after f4 seems like white has activity, but according to the engine and after some time calculating, I saw that this is not a great decision to change the structure this way. I should keep open d line. That was my advantage. And I should not trade the pieces because I have more space. So I ruined the principle in the space advantage position. He actually went for g5 directly, which is a very strong move. Now any sort of sacrifice doesn't exist, so I have to just bring my bishop back to g3. And the move I missed, totally missed, is castles on the long side. I thought that I had a very pleasant position because if he didn't castle, I will play knight e4 and then I will fix my knight on f5. That will bring me advantage, and maybe I can win the game comfortably after that, exploiting these light squares. But he castled, and now knight e4 is not possible. On castles now I was thinking maybe can I go something like queen e7, but at least he can bring the back queen on b8. And now this endgame is, and late middle game is more comfortable for black just because of the structure and this pawn chain and generally exploiting the king side. They'll start pushing these pawns and it felt very uncomfortable. On the other side, this pawn for the endgame could be a weakness, and that's why I started burning some time here trying to create some plan. I move my queen to d3 because I want to bring my queen to f5 and temporarily stops f5 themselves. And Other thing why I play queen and 3 is if they go f5 to avoid any sort of f4. So I'm trying to adjust my pieces according to black plans because they're more dangerous, obviously. I'm trying to not make more weaknesses and make him go for summer. He played knight c5, targets the queen, which is normal logical move. Now the purpose of queen d3 was clear. I want to trade queens and enter the endgame. So I took the queen. This is fine decision for white. He took back with a knight. And now again, white has to craft some plan because f5 and f4 is on the way. You don't really have time to go such a things like h4 because then g4 and then again f5, f4 is happening. So I played knight e2, he went f5, I went f3, he went h5. And of course, this looks much better for black just because these pawns are so open. And that's why I need to readjust my pieces and bring it back, especially the knight, the bishop. Bishop f2, and now he pushed g4. This is a great example how you should push your pawns, because these pawns are protecting g4, and if I take this one, then the h line will get open. That's the whole point. And I'm not taking any action on that. I'm trying to improve my knight, so my knight is going here. Maybe I got some things around this. I know that this bishop would like to come on this diagonal, but he will face some problems on d6 if he commits to that. So he actually needs to keep the bishop on f8 for a long time until figure out what's happening with this pawn. On the other side, my plan is also to go something like knight e3 and then target this pawn on f5. That's another one. And if I can somehow open up these rooks and use the activity of my pieces because they're more active than black's pieces. I'm also relying on the tricks now. So he went rook g8. That's a clever move. He anyways want to improve this rook by opening the line and maybe getting to g2. That's a clever idea. So I can't allow that one. I need to do something about that. If I wait and play something like, let's say, a4, he'll take, I'll take back. And now rook g2 is coming. I guess I can go bishop g1 or bishop to g3, but that feels very passive, especially bishop g3 because of some f4 and so on. So I decided to go more active and play logical move bishop h4, where he actually needs to play only one move, rook to e8. And the point of that one is to provoke rook to be on the e line, unprotected, to actually make this f4 pressure on e5. So he can't take that one because rook is hanging. And the point is, if he goes e4, I'll be better after knight e3. And I'll win the pawn and then I'm gonna have a big counterplay. But actually he found b5, very nice counter move, where I'm not in time to take here and not in time also to go and collect safely this pawn without losing mine. So I went knight e3. And of course now they cannot defend this one on f5, but they can at least take the f4 pawn. So that's something what he commits. Then I took on f5, and now he just brought the knight to the middle. Where black is already fine. He's slowly improving his pieces. I went bishop f6, which is first mistake, big mistake in the game. But on the other side, this move looks logical to me. I need to play something with my pieces. It's very hard to play also under pressure this position for white. He went king d7, logical move, improving the king. So taking on e5 is not my really point because now he'll just open up and my knight is also trapped. So rook g5 is on the way and I'll be in the problem. So instead of trading the pieces, I need to keep some tension to look for tactics. That's the reason why I played the move rook e4. And now black has two options. He can start pushing and he can go rook g6. Rook g6 is really uncomfortable move, I saw that. Simply moving the bishop out of f6 and then later being able to play bishop e7 or bishop to g7. He played f3, which is understandable, trying to create a passer, and I mean his position is fine. Even though this bishop is out of the game, these rooks and knight are perfect pieces, and plus he has pawn majority, and that's the right reaction, pushing the pawns and white is now in a trouble. I decided to take on f3. He of course responded with knight takes f3. We traded pair of rooks. And now, according to engine, black is totally winning because he has a clear idea to push the pawns like h4, g3. Before that, he wanna kick this bishop out of the way. After that, this bishop will come even with checks, and he has an easy play. White is now in a big trouble. And I never want to play this kind of moves, but I have to. It's a very ugly move, but I cannot let him take this one. That will be game over. If I let him take this one, that's game over. And I don't have any other way of protecting this pawn, unfortunately. So I have to pray that he might blunder something and allow me some counterplay with h3, where I'm gonna open up this line where things can turn around. But for now, black is having everything under control. Rook g6. Now I don't have any better square for the bishop than to come back on c3, which is the only square. And yeah, he has here the move rook g5, where then he will take the control over this pawn. Also, my knight will get back and he'll start pushing this, and that's actually game over. But also black is low on time, so he's not playing 100% confidently. He's also skeptical in his decisions, that's what I figure out. So if I had a game in my hands from the opening segment, then I believe that I will have better chances for the win. Now I'm trying to survive. And the fact I played this guy in a Blitz tournament 1 month ago and I crushed him in Italian game. So he was also a little bit scary of me before the game. I noticed that. And during the game, he's not confident, super confident in his moves. As you see, he's also burning so much time. He has so many moves here to play. Easy moves. h4, bishop h6. And he wasted almost a minute for that move. Bishop h6. Even though the best one. According to engine, I should take the bishop and continue in that endgame, but I wanted to keep the pressure and I played king d1. So I'm also now relying on all practical chances, tricks. Evaluation is not even important for white here. Just because look at my pieces, it's terrible. Terrible coordination. I'm playing now for last options, and that's tricks and traps. He played bishop f4, still staying solid, playing very good positional chess. I can go for knight g7 and take here, but to be honest, my knight will be trapped and I can't figure out the way of bringing this knight to the to be alive later. So something like this can happen. He'll take on h2, and then next move is such a rook h6, and I'm losing the knight. So that's the reason why I brought a knight to the center, not in the corner. I'm 10 seconds, he's 20 seconds, and we are having intense battle in this endgame. He's pawn up. He'll be pawn up very soon, of course. And looks like he's pawn up because of this 2 versus 1. So he took here, I took on d4, and rook g5 is definitely winning the pawn for black. The easiest reaction, I play king e2, he took here, and then I play c3. So this endgame gives me some promises, because now since the knights are off the board, I'm very happy to announce h3 will happen at some point. Actually immediately now. So we are taking the trades on the queen side. He's trying to activate the rook, but on the other side, I'm taking on g4. He take back, and now I went for rook h4. He took on a2 with check. And now very important move is to go king f1 to not allow rook g2, because rook g2 would protect the pawn g4, where I'm gonna be completely lost. So that's why king f1 happens. Maybe king d3 is also fine, but king f1 looks the easiest way. So now he's looking forward bringing the king to the game. I took on g4, he brought bishop c1. And now I should start walking with my king on this side of the board and going after this pawn. But instead, I decided to offer the rook trade on g2, which is completely losing according to the engine. But as you see here, he's skeptical. He cannot see if this is a winning or not, so he decided to keep the rooks. I brought my king quickly to the middle. He was start playing so quick, and now suddenly engine is saying it's equal. And I felt that I got a chance to equalize. I played rook e5, he went bishop e2, king c2, he pushed the pawn. I restrict their king of coming forward. He gave me check, I went king b3, and now Seems like an easy draw for white. King e6. Now I don't want to allow king smoothly coming to the game, so I played rook to a5. And he pushed the pawn. Now rook a6 check, king f5. 7 seconds on clock, rook f6 check, king e4, rook e6 check, king d3, rook e3 check, and after king d2 I have this beautiful rook e5. I have a threat of pawn and have a threat of this. Seems like I finally survived. This pawn is not going anywhere. As you see here, there's crowded around us. He played rook h1. I collect the pawn. He walked with king, and now he's threatening to go king b1 and push the pawn. That was a big threat. And I'm 5-6 seconds in clock. I can't figure out the best move here, and I play king a2, which is a blunder. And this blunders because of king c2 and now unstoppable mate on a1. Unfortunately, in the time scramble, I missed this one. It was not easy game, I was suffering and finally got a chance for a draw. To be honest, he deserved the win because he was the one being better the whole game. We are chatting now a little bit. That's third round and we are going in the fourth round with 2 out of 3. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.